Hi everyone, it's Kim from Fleece and Harmony. Welcome to episode 93, which you're probably viewing on April 1st or after. April 1st is the launch date of the video, and I'm recording this in my yarn shop that's in my woolen mill on my sheep farm in Belfast, Prince Edward Island. So welcome to everybody. If you're new here, welcome. You'll find this a pretty eclectic podcast. We talk about our farm and our knitting, crochet, yarn, and whatever else comes to mind. And if you're joining me again as a regular viewer, thanks for coming back, and I'm happy to see you all. So today we're going to do the regular routine with the farm update. We're going to do some whips and rips, and we have lots of things to talk about in whips and rips. And we have some FOs, or finished objects, to show. We'll do a Llama segment. Betsy's back. Yay! So she's going to join me back, and she's almost finished her Llama. And you'll notice I say she's almost finished her Llama, so we'll talk about that when she gets here. And we're going to talk about a little bit more in depth on the project that we're collaborating on by supplying some of the yarn for the Mercerie, which is a crochet blanket that we'll talk about. I have a biggish shop update, just a little bit complicated. There's lots of stuff to talk about, so we'll talk about that, and we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about the Prince Edward Island Fibre Festival, because things are really coming together quickly for that, and there's lots and lots of things to share. So we'll just get started right away with the farm update. So if you've received my last newsletter, I was all excited talking about spring and spring knitting and everything, which was true when I wrote the newsletter last week. But today we're sitting here in the shop by ourselves. Ken and I are here, and we decided to start the podcast because nobody's coming to the shop today because it is a snowstorm like the middle of winter. Except it's not really very cold. It's just cold enough to snow. But there's been a pile of snow come down in the last 12 hours or so. We still have power and everything, so that's good. But it's a bit crazy. So we were speaking with some other farmer friends of ours. We had lunch with, actually it's from Blue Shank Farms, because we were at Blue Shank Farms on the weekend picking up more wool for Yarny Goodness, and we were chatting with them, and we were talking about the expression poor man's fertilizer. So often when you get a snowstorm fairly late in the season or early spring, people like to call that poor man's fertilizer, and we were debating on why that would be called that, because it's actually just snow coming down on your fields. So I don't know if it's the extra water, and it usually melts pretty quickly because it is technically spring. But it's kind of a weird expression. So if anybody has any ideas about that, then they can write us in the comment, because we couldn't figure out, other than the fact that your fields would be getting wet and then that snow would gradually melt and give water to the fields. But we've had kind of enough water this spring and late winter, because it's been raining a lot. And so we're not sure about the expression. So if you have any ideas, you can just pop those in the comments. I should say as well, this is kind of a weird place to talk about it, but if you have been watching this video and you like the podcast, then I'm going to encourage you to subscribe and turn on your notifications and your bell reminders, so that you'll know when a new episode comes out. And we're at 9,876 subscribers right now, so we're really trying to hit that 10,000 mark, and I think we could do it in this podcast if enough people subscribe. So that would be fantastic. And of course, give a thumbs up if you like it, and comment. I'll talk about comments a lot because I love reading the comments, and I always answer. I answer every comment. So if you can write anything. We have a couple questions that we're asking in this podcast, so you can write them in the comments. Also, I do the chapters. So if there's a part of the podcast that you're not interested in, then you can always skip around in the podcast and find the part that you wanted to watch if you're not going to watch the whole thing. And it's really easy to do. It's just on the bottom of your screen if you're watching on a computer or an iPad or anything. So that's kind of housekeeping in the middle of the farm update. So there's not really much to say more about the farm, except that we've got lots of poor man's fertilizer today, and that will melt by the end of the week probably. And our temperatures are fluctuating between 10 or 11 Celsius and 0 degrees Celsius. So one day it's 10 and feels really like spring. There's warmth in the sun. And then the next day you have a big snowstorm that literally when I came over from the house to record this, and it was almost to the top of my boots in some places. So it's a bit nuts. The animals are all good. The sheep are absolutely fine. They're a little confused too because they were all starting to go out into the fields, and any little green shoots that were starting to come up, they were nipping those in the bud, literally. So they were eating them, and the horses are wandering around their whole paddock. And I almost forgot, we did a little fence check the other day, and where the snow was drifted, it was drifted quite high in the back corner of the horse pasture. But we weren't too worried about it because the horses really don't like to walk in deep snow, and it was pretty crusty, so it wouldn't bear their weight. But so they don't really go way to the back corner where it drifts because it's just not easy for them to walk around there, and they've got a lot of space, so they don't need to go there. But I decided to take a walk up to the back corner of the pasture. And the snow drifts were so high at one point that it went right over the top of the wires where the fences are. And then it started to recede. And when it started to melt, it started to compact. So it took down all of the wires, and the wires were frozen in the snow. And the lower the snow got, the more the wires were stretched, until the point when I went up that the posts were only about this far above the drift. So normally they'd be 5-foot posts, but they were only about this far from the top of the snowdrift. And there was no wires attached to the top of the fence at all. So if the horses had really been motivated, they could have actually just walked right over the fence. So I was freaking out, and so I came back and got Ken. He was still cleaning up some things after chores, so we had to actually go up and dig the wires out of the snow drifts. And it's tensile wire, so it's quite stretchy, and you have to keep it taut. And so that had stretched out a bit, so we had to reattach the wires, and then we put a thicker electrified rope right at the very top so that it would create like a physical barrier. Horses don't really try to escape, or my horses don't really try to escape that much. I think their horses are pretty easy to keep inside the pasture, and as long as they have food, they're not really motivated to go too far for the most part. So we've just stretched some electrified rope along the very top of the fence post, so that created a visual barrier. So we're going up and checking it every couple of days now, just to make sure that everything is staying where it's supposed to. And there's so much snow on some parts of the fence actually that there's not a lot of electricity, but we really find that the horses just kind of need a suggestion of there might be electricity there. So if they just get a little tiny snap on their noses, they're not really motivated to try to test the fence. So that's it. So all the farm adventures lately all seem to be around the horses, but the sheep are behaving themselves. So that's good. So that's about all that's going on here that's exciting. So I'll go right to my works in progress. So last time I was apologizing because I hadn't done any knitting at all. I was visiting with my mom, and we had a great visit, but I felt like I really had some catch up to do this week or over the last 2 weeks. on my project. So the first thing I'm going to show is, technically it would be a finished object because they're finally finished, but I'm just going to show the little cotton rabbits one more time because I finally put on all those little gorgeous buttons. And for those that maybe are joining us for the first time, I knit these two rabbits. There's Penelope and Pierre, and this pattern is the little cotton from the little cotton rabbits. In you can go online and find there's all kinds of different creatures and critters, and the clothes and everything are just so fantastic. They're super cute. So, but for the people that have been following along, I was having trouble finding tiny buttons to go on their clothes. So the universe responded, and I got some wonderful, wonderful buttons sent to me. And I had offers to go through grandmother's button boxes and everything from neighbors. And I found it's amazing what you can find. So this one is the most amazing one. So you see Penelope has these little, her dress is knit in Summer Light DK, Rowan Summer Light DK, and the green color is called Pear. So those little polka dots are sweet, and the stripes on her hosiery, her tights. But Joanne, who we talk about a lot because she's a really avid knitter that comes into the shop, had let me go through her grandmother's tin. It was an old chocolate tin, like pot of gold, I think it was, but from a long time ago. And it was filled with buttons. And look at the button that I found in there. It's exactly matching the dots on Penelope's dress. So it's just fantastic. You would never be able to find it if you were trying to buy it. It's just perfect. So I think you can see that. So Penelope is now fully dressed and outfitted. She's got her button and she's all set. So I don't know if we can sit her up here. We'll just sit her up there. I don't know, can you still see that? Okay, how about we'll sit her here? So we'll let her hang out there. Okay, and then her little brother, Pierre, needed buttons for his overalls. So I found these kind of reddish buttons. So if you hadn't seen these before, Pierre's sneakers come off. So he's got little socks on with the turned down cuff. He's got the little overalls. The buttons come off, or sorry, you can unbutton them and take them off. And then he's also got this great striped sweater. The clothes, again, are knit in Summer Light DK by Rowan. And I found, you won't even hardly be able to see it, but I also found a perfect matching button for the back of his sweater. And that came from a viewer that sent me some, she was sorting her button box that goes back, I'm not sure how long. There were still buttons on cards that looked like they were purchased quite a long time ago. So I'm really, really thankful about that. Now, in the pattern for the little cotton rabbits, these pockets, you can actually put things in these pockets on the overalls, and there's supposed to be a little toy that goes in there. I haven't knit the toy yet, but I will do that just to make sure that absolutely everything is done on the pattern. So those are my little bunnies, and I'm going to put him up here too. Hopefully they can sit there together and not. Okay. Okay, Pierre wants to lay down, so we'll let him lay. We'll let him lay it there. They do both sit up, but there's a lot of yarn in there. So so that's just a little cleanup of that little project that I hadn't finished completely. So now they're done. So there's I have 3 projects on the go now. So the person who was always talking about being a monogamous knitter and that I only like to have one project, I now have 3 on the go. So we'll start with I guess we'll start with the one that I don't have as much to talk about. So I've been talking about the cowl cardigan, which is from Mode at Rowan magazine collection number 1, and it's a pattern called the Cowl Cardigan, and it's knit in Kid Classic by Rowan. So the picture in the book is knit in pumice. That's the name of the color, but I've chosen to do mine in cherry red. So here is the beginning of it. And so this is all, I did my swatch and I did all of that work, and now I'm starting the cardigan. So it's knit in pieces. So this is the back, and then there'll be a front panel, two front panels, a right and a left front panel, and then you have that cowl that gets attached onto the neck. But and it's knit in double seed stitch. So I'm hoping you can see it, but I've taken a picture of it before, so I'll pop that up. So so it's knit in purl all the way. So I have to knit for the back before I do anything like with the sleeves or anything. I have to knit 57 centimeters, and every row is knit in purl. So I'm not going to lie, it's not I'm a slow knitter anyway, but this is not going to be fast. The only thing that's a saving grace is that even though this yarn is it's fairly thin when you're knitting it, the way that it's constructed though, it's quite lofty. So, and it's on, I think this is on, they're on 4.5 millimeter needles. So it knits up, it doesn't knit fast because you're knitting knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl the whole way. But you get some length fairly quickly because of the gauge of the yarn in the project. So you do see progress every time you sit down, which is something that's good for me because I need to be able to see that I'm getting somewhere, even if I am a really slow knitter. So there you go. So people that have been watching me for a while will know that they're going to expect to see this for quite a while. For quite a while, because it doesn't matter how hard I try to knit fast, I just can't knit fast. So you know, I was an English knitter. I changed to continental because I thought that was going to make me speedy. I've knit with the Chiagu needles, which are the slickest needles that I can find. They're totally comfortable. I still can't knit fast. So that's just the way it is, I guess. I'm not a fast knitter. So there's the cowl cardigan is finally started, and quite a few of you bought the yarn to make this with me. So I hope you've started your cardigan as well, and you can let me know in the comments if you've started your cardigan and how you're making out with it. So I'm just going to tuck these things all in my bag because if I don't, they'll be going all over the place. Okay, so that'll go in there. And if you're wondering about this bag, this is the project bag that we have in our website with the lovely James Bond or Border Leicester Ram on them. So we have those for sale in the shop. And the next project I'm going to show is the tungsten. So just a little recap on what was happening with tungsten. So tungsten, this is the back. I haven't blocked it. I'm just going to mention, people have mentioned that when I hold it up, it looks like your motif is not in the center. So it's not supposed to be in the center. So you can rest assured that it's done. The chart has been positioned in the right place. So how this fits. So this is the back, so it's not exactly right, but you have this part of the motif, this diamond, that's more or less in the center, and then this one kind of goes a little bit under the arm. And if you can see this, you have the argyle. So it's a play on the traditional argyle, and I'm just going to put this together a little bit so that I can show it closer to the camera. So you have the argyle diamond motif, and then you have the lines that make it the traditional argyle pattern, and that's done in a low contrast color. And I'll put the colors down below in the show notes so you can check that out. And the way that this has worked is that it's knit from the bottom up in pieces, and you have your main color, and then the diamonds are in tarja, and the lines are also in tarja. So that meant at one point I had the main color yarn, I had 2 bobbins for the diamonds going on the same time, and I had 4 bobbins for the lines of the argyle. So it was kind of a lot to handle. It's made from felted tweed, so super easy to knit with and really enjoyable to knit with, but managing 6 bobbins was not super enjoyable. So I got so far up, like about to here, and I was like, I didn't think I was going to be able to take it anymore. They were tangling up, and it just really wasn't fun, although I persevered. So what I decided to do was, I had made up my mind then that when I go to do the front, that I was going to try to do the lines with duplicate stitch instead of intarsia, and then that would eliminate 4 of the bobbins, and 2 bobbins I can handle, so that's okay. But I didn't stop and start to do duplicate stitch halfway through. I continued on for the back with the duplicate stitch until I finished it. So this was, with the intarsia until I finished it. So the back is done, and I've used all intarsia for the lines that are on there. I haven't blocked this, so this will be put aside. So that I got that finished in the last 2 weeks. And then I started the front, I started right away with the duplicate stitch on the front. So I'm going to show you what that looks like, and I'll try to do like a little comparison. So here it is, much easier to handle because all you have is these, it's like knitting with 2 colors really. Well, it is 2 colors, but the bobbin is not really much of a hassle. So I'm just going to put this so it doesn't fall so you can see it. And I knit so far, and then I decided that I would just make sure that the duplicate stitch was going to work, because if I had to rip it out to go back to doing it in intarsia, then I wanted to know that sooner than later. Okay, so I'm going to try to get this really close so you can see how it looks. I'm really happy with the way it looks. So I've just put in the first stitch to start the diamonds, but it's really the lines that I want to show you. So I'm hoping that you can see that. So I'm going to move up a little bit, if you can get a good shot of that. So those lines are not knit in, they're duplicate stitch, and you really can't tell the difference. They might actually be a little tiny bit more noticeable in the duplicate stitch, but because I was preparing myself that I was going to have to go back and do duplicate stitch over the stitches in the back, but I don't think I'm going to have to. So I hope you can see that. So it's a pretty good match, and I can tell you it is much easier to do doing the duplicate stitch. And in fact, I think it's even neater because you're not trying to wrangle around one bobbin. And if you don't know how to do duplicate stitch, I have a pretty good tutorial. I'll say it's pretty good, but I tried to think of everything that people that were new to duplicate stitch would need to know. And so I follow my own advice from what I gave in the tutorial. And then that's where that can save some time and a lot of hassle. Like, I don't mind the time, but when it gets a little fiddly and kind of like a hassle, then I'm not really happy. So I'm actually going a lot faster on the on the front than I did on the back, and so this should move along fairly quickly now. And now I just have the intarsia part is just the diamonds, which is totally easy to handle, just two little bobbins. So, and I can sew these duplicate stitch pieces, lines, I can sew that as I go. So just like what I did here, as soon as I had like a little bit of a stretch to do, I started doing the duplicate stitch, or Swiss darning as it's called sometimes as well. So that's that. I'm going to put that in the bag. And then I'm going to show Paisley. So now it's time to show Paisley. So here it is. Paisley by Sidsel Hoivek, and it has a back like this. So if you haven't seen it before, I've been knitting on this for a long time. So people that are regulars have seen a lot of the Paisley. But I'm just going to show you what I've done, because I wanted to be able to show some things, but I wasn't going to have time to do it step by step. So just to recap, what I'm doing now is there's different types of embellishment that have to be done. So in the front panel, you can see there you're filling in parts of the Paisley with lavender, 2 different shades of lavender. So a dark lavender and a light lavender, and that will continue all the way up the front panel on both sides of the jacket. The sleeves also have Paisleys on them, and those were also duplicate. It's a duplicate stitch as well. After it was all finished knitting, you duplicate stitch inside the Paisleys with light lavender and darker lavender. Then after the duplicate stitch is done, then you do crochet embellishing around each of the Paisleys. So that gives a more highlight to the design. And I don't think I haven't started that on any of the panels yet, but you can see that you just do the same thing over all the Paisleys. Then after you finish the crochet, then you put sequins and little glass beads on it. So this is what it looks like, and I'm just thrilled with it. So there you go. You can see them just twinkling away there, I think. So super cool, super fiddly, but really the end result is fantastic. And it's just so interesting to see how each little step adds to the design. I hope you can see that. So those sequins like that do go all the way up on the front panels as well as we do that. So there's lots of bling. I love it. And then you have these gorgeous mother of pearl or shell buttons that go on. And I started to work on this, and some people that are watching are going to roll their eyes, because does it ever end with me? I don't know. But I had a thread that was kind of a light cream colored, and I thought I could use it to do the buttons, but I really didn't like it. I could have done it with the yarn, but I didn't have with the yarn that was in the sweater, but I didn't have a needle that would fit through the buttons and that I could thread the yarn through it. So I'm using just a Gutermann thread. And I had like a creamy beige color, which I used, that I didn't like. So I did the top button, and then I couldn't do any more because I had to go into town and get another thread. So I actually went and got a lavender thread that fit. So the second button is sewn on with the lavender, and the top button is sewn on with the cream. So I'm going to take the top button off and re-sew it with the lavender. And the same thing was with the sequins. You won't be able to see it. It's less noticeable here. But the first Paisley was done with the cream colored thread, and the second one is done with the lavender. And I was careful about the color lavender that I wanted, because I really want this to look more purple because the colors, when you first knit it, it's quite muted, and it's all of the embellishments that actually make it more purple. So I chose a lavender color that I knew would enhance the purple. These sequences are kind of blue and purple, so I made sure that I chose a color that kind of, even though you can't really detect it, it does influence the color of the sequences. So that's Paisley. So that's going to keep going, and I'll just button this re-button these buttons. Top one will have to come off, and it's we've already talked about this before. It's not blocked yet either, but we talked about this before. I don't mind going back and redoing things because it's going to be a sweater that I'm going to have forever. So I just, if I have to take off a button, it's no big deal. And I'm going to keep going with that. So I have to say, though, every time the sequins get done, I sit there and look at them sparkling. I really like it. So it's too much for some people probably, but I really like it. So that's that. So Paisley is in the finishing stretch. Tungsten is kind of halfway in the middle, and the cowl cardigan is at the beginnings of the project. And I have one more work in progress to show you. It's not mine. It's actually Jennifer Hicks. So Jennifer Hicks, if you saw the last episode, she finished her eldest sweater, and she's knitting a little wardrobe capsule for herself out of the Kid Classic book, the 4 Projects Kid Classic. And there was the eldest sweater, and then the second part of her capsule is the Mona scarf in that same book, also knit from Kid Classic. So I'm going to show you what she's done so far with this. I'm just trying to make sure that she still has it attached to the yarn. This is so beautiful. I really can't describe how beautiful it is. I hope you can see. It is so soft and lovely. So her eldest sweater was knit in mulberry. She's going to reknit it because it was too big. So it's this color mulberry. And so she took a stripe of the mulberry and put it in this lovely, lovely scarf, which is called Mona. And it's fairly simple to do. The colors that are in it, the lightest color that you see on the bottom is feather. The gray is pumice, and the beige, the brownier beige is champagne. And then she's got the stripe of mulberry, which matches her eldest sweater. So she's got I think it's another 5 repeats to do on this. So it's going to be nice and generous. But the fabric is just unbelievable. It's so beautiful, and it's garter stitch. So, it's not really difficult at all. And you just do these center line, I think it's decreases, not increases, I guess. And you do decreases on it, so it's a rectangle. And you get this beautiful design. And it's just so classic. This is just something you'll have in your wardrobe forever as well. So it's just beautiful. Jennifer's doing a great job on this. She did start to frog her eldest sweater so that she can reknit it in the proper size. She doesn't have to worry about size with this one, so she's all set. And I'm just going to put it right back in her project bag for her. And so she'll have 2 things down in the book done, and then there's the vest is another project, and then there's a cardigan as well in this book. So this is a really great little book if you want some really nice classic projects. All right, so that's that. 4 Projects in Kid Classic by Rowan. So that's about it all I have for works in progress, and I have a finished object which is also spectacular, also not knit by me. It is I just want to make sure where it is. Okay, it's the Maja Sweater out of the Nordic Primer by Scandiwork, Kristen Drysdale. So wait till you see this. I'm just going to grab the book at the same time because we may as well talk about it. So the premise of the Nordic Primer by Kristen Drysdale of Scandiwork is that it's kind of a masterclass on knitting, and with a focus on color work knitting. So it is filled with beautiful photographs of every step of everything that she teaches you, and the patterns are all rated toward like how easy: beginner, advanced beginner, intermediate 1, intermediate 2. And at the beginning of every pattern, she tells you the skills that you need to complete the pattern and what you're going to learn when you're doing the pattern. So the Maja Sweater in the book is classified as advanced beginner, and it is teaches you about an introduction to color work. You have a split hem on the side with the front and the back, and then you knit in the round. It's just beautiful. And then you knit in the round, and you knit sleeves, and then you join to the yoke after, and you're going then you're going up and finishing off. And the detail and the intricacy of the design, as far as the attention to detail, I guess is what I'm trying to say, is that you actually join the sleeves partway through this motif, but you absolutely cannot tell where you've joined them unless you get right at the underarm. And the sweater is just beautiful, and it fits Janet to a T, so you can see that. And it's knit in Garfield Grizzly, but you could also knit it in Selkirk Worsted. So the color is cranberry, and then this was natural grizzly. We had some gray grizzly, but you could use oyster if you wanted like this. It's a semi-low contrast, and it just feels great, and it fits Janet perfectly. So it's a really big success. And then preparing for the podcast today, I kind of went through the Nordic Knitting Primer in a lot more detail, and it's really, if you want to start to learn to do color work and you want to learn good habits and good techniques, this book is really, really very versatile, even for beginners. And each of the projects, as they get progressively more require more skill, you've already learned the base of the skills as you get to those patterns. And she's very, very clear about what the level is. And she considers this a pattern that would be suitable for somebody wanting to do their first color work sweater, because of the way that she teaches you through it. But it's just really gorgeous. So good job, Janet, on that. Feels really nice, I have to say. It's beautiful. Nice and soft. Okay, so that's a finished object that's been done in the shop just in the last week or two. So that's that. And a good plug for the book, because it was really a great success. So while we're talking about Scandi work and Kristen Drysdale, I'm just going to mention that she is coming to the Fibre Festival. So she will be there teaching 3 classes, and she's going to teach fingerless mittens from the book, the Nordic Knitting Primer. And those mittens were designed in Selkirk Worsted, actually. So she's going to teach a class on those. She's also going to teach a class on Norwegian slippers, which is really cute. And she's got another class on steeking. So she's going to do those three workshops at the Fibre Festival. So if you're interested in anything like that, and you maybe bring your book along, and maybe she'll sign it for you. I don't know. So anyway, we sell the books here, so you can get the books, and we'll have them at the Fibre Festival as well. So that's the real finished object that's recently been done. So I think we're just going to take a little bit of a break, and we're going to pop over to see what Betsy and I were up to with regards to the llamas. And I'm going to be totally transparent and say I did no work on my llama whatsoever with the 3 projects that I was doing with knitting. So poor Betsy's going to have to carry the show as it goes with the llamas. So she's going to show her progress on her llama. And but before she goes to talking about the llama, as usual, she's got some knitting projects to show. So she also has her little badger that's also a pattern from Little Cotton Rabbits. He's dressed now. So Nikki, we loved your comment, the little Nikki badger. If you're watching. So we laughed and laughed and laughed. So he's not naked anymore. He's got a sweater and a t-shirt and pants, proper pants. So he's all set. So Betsy will show that. And then she has her project that she finished, the vest, which was her very first design that she did. So she talks a little bit about some of the changes she made to the design and what she discovered while she was knitting it. And then she talks about the llamas after that. So we'll hop on over there and see what Betsy was up to. Hi, Betsy.
Hi, Kim.
How are you?
Good. I feel out of practice, though.
You feel it? Yes. You missed a week.
I did. So I got the what we shall not speak of.
Right.
So COVID came through my household.
Word.
Yeah, the new C word. Oh my. Came through our household. But now it's done and over. So we've had it. We've done our isolation. We've all got it, so we're hoping for the next few months at least that we're clear and good to go.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a doozy, but we coped and we're moving on.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
Moving on, and it's good to have you back.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we'll talk about sweaters first.
Sure.
I'm not even wearing a hand-knit sweater today.
Well, we're starting to get a little bit of spring.
A little bit.
of spring.
A little bit. It's starting.
Yeah.
So it's raining right now. People are going to see the harmony moment. It's beautiful, and then it's snow tomorrow.
Okay.
So
whatever.
That's the way it goes.
You said on your last one, you said something about spring comes in spits and furts. No. Spits and furts. I'm going with that. Spring comes in spits and furts around here.
Fits and starts.
Fits and starts.
Yes.
And as this is my first spring on the island, I've kind of been waiting to see what it does.
Yeah.
So it's coming in nice and slow and easy so far.
Never mind. I'm still on this sentences before. It's okay. This is going to be all right. So we're cuckoo, obviously.
Clearly. We need to focus.
Yeah, focus.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So we're going to talk about knitting first.
Yes.
Because you're wearing your beautiful project that you showed.
I managed to finish.
Yes.
So as with all projects, it was not a straight to start finish.
No.
I'd gotten,
I
had showed it.
Fits and starts?
A little bit, yeah. I had showed it last week, and or the last time I was here, and I think I had the neck all done. The only thing I needed to do was put the zipper in.
Yeah, it wasn't folded down yet, the neck.
Right.
Yeah.
And I hadn't done the sleeves. I was going to put this same sort of folded ribbing around the sleeve holes here, and I thought that would look cute. So I did that, and I came out to show my daughter, and her comment was, "Mom, you look like Lord Farquaad from Shrek." So the style where it kind of like sticks up, and I agreed. It was too much.
I was saying to you that I wondered if it was going to look a little Star Trek.
Yeah, but I have that
that's because
sticking up. So I just pulled it off and still decided it was a bit wide. So I folded it in and under. So there's probably more of an interface than what would actually have been there had I thought that through and planned it.
Oh, okay.
But it's okay. It's workable.
Yeah.
So I went to put the zipper in.
Right.
And because, of course, it's got stripes on it, it was important that I line it up and make sure all the stripes line up so that when I zip it shut, I didn't want it to be off kilter. Yeah. Okay. Well, I could not for the life of me get it to line up. And I couldn't figure out what is wrong with me until I realized I had knit an entire extra sequence on one side.
Okay.
But it was far enough down. It was before the decreases of the sleeve.
Okay.
So I had to rip that panel all the way back. Well, actually, I had to take the entire neck off because that was picked up and put on after.
Right.
So rip the entire neck off, rip back a panel, unsew some things, and redo it. So I did all of that quite quickly, and then of course it sat on the kitchen table because putting a zipper in, that's not knitting.
No.
It's not knitting.
No.
Those are two different worlds.
Yeah.
But I did finally buckle down, got the zipper put in.
So you're like me a little bit, that when something is not really what your favorite thing is, it tends to go.
Well, then I might start a few other projects.
Yes, exactly.
And do what I want to do and come back. So in the end, I'm quite happy with it.
Yeah, I think you should be really happy with it.
Quite pleased, yeah. It does have the color work on the back.
Right.
I'll try and shift a bit, see if we can see that.
Yeah, perfect.
So,
yeah, nice.
So it's all good.
Good.
So that was before I got sick.
Oh, okay. You finished it before.
I did, yeah. I did.
Yeah.
No, it's been sitting waiting for a little bit
till
I got better and could leave the house.
And you're, so while you were not feeling great, you weren't doing any knitting.
I tried. Yeah. So at first I thought, okay, because with this particular illness, we have to have a mandated isolation time. So I wasn't feeling too bad to start. And I thought, great, 7 days or 10 days, whatever it is, I can't remember now. I'll be just stuck at home and I can knit. I'm not allowed to do anything else. So
good. No, you don't even have to come up with an excuse.
Exactly. But no, that didn't happen. I tried and I couldn't focus on patterns. And I truly was just sick. And I had to, for the first time in my life, say, I'm sick.
Oh.
I just have to be sick. So I don't get sick very often, and I usually push through because life just happens. Yeah. But this one,
it's a weird one.
It is a weird one.
There's you know, the opposite ends of the spectrum. Obviously, people that are really sick and some very sick, very very sick, and then some that don't have any symptoms.
And I am grateful. I was not at any point was I concerned that I needed to head to hospital or anything. It was just for us. It was like having a really bad cold. Yeah. But also what really got me was the chills and the fever. What kind of knocked me out the most. So anyway, so not a lot of knitting. But before that, I also did get, there's one of your viewers. I do read the comments, and thank you. Many of you had said lovely things about me. So that's always fun to read lovely things about yourself. And one of you is very particularly interested in the Nakey Badger. So I'm
He's
sorry.
Not Nakey anymore.
The Nakey Badger's not Nakey anymore. So,
and not only is he not naked, but he actually has a change of clothes.
He does, because I made him a sweater, and it just was too bulky and kind of lost the definition of the critter. Right. So I made him a smaller, more fitted shirt too. Yeah. And we don't actually, I don't know, for some of your viewers may not realize, we don't have badgers.
No.
Badgers are not a Canadian thing. No. So I think they're super adorable and cute. But I was doing a little bit of reading, and apparently they're actually kind of nasty.
They're vicious.
I didn't realize that. Not honey badger. This badger is a European badger.
Is it? Okay.
The honey badger, I guess, is even more intense.
So, I don't know. Yeah. So we don't have any in any part of Canada. We don't have.
I don't think so.
We don't have them here.
I'm sure you can all correct me if I'm wrong.
Put it in the comments if we're wrong.
I'm fairly confident we do not have badgers in North America.
We have possums, though.
We have possums. They came up from the south.
Okay.
We didn't originally, but they traveled in the bottom of the trucks.
Oh.
And apparently...
Because Ontario has...
Yes, Ontario.
We don't have them here on PEI.
Not on the island?
No.
Yeah, well, I guess they could come on a truck.
Yeah. No, we don't have... and we don't have porcupines either here.
Oh, okay. I've now, even where I came from in Ontario, I know they're there, but I've never seen a porcupine in the wild.
So no porcupines, but we have raccoons, which would be the closest thing to a badger.
To this guy.
Yes. With the little masks.
Yeah. So he has another sweater. I won't bother to try it. This sweater coming off is kind of tight.
So he's got shorts?
They're like little short pants, I think. They come up so high. It's just so darn cute. Yeah. His little tail gets shoved inside.
And then he's got, there's not a hole for the tail.
No, the pattern didn't call for it. You could maybe make one, but I didn't try to.
And then I love the little stripes on the sweater.
Oh, that just was, it was a self-striping sock yarn that I used.
So it reminds me of, except they have a V-neck. We're talking about the rocket tee, the pattern by Tanis Fiber Arts.
I think I saw a picture of it.
Yeah, it has stripes. So we're doing them with sock yarn and Kidsilk Haze, but it looks like...
Well, he's got his own... Maybe we'll call him Rocket.
Rocky.
There we go. I had picked a name on Instagram, but it was a feminine name, and he never felt right as a girl. So,
they got to be what they got to be.
They got to be exactly. So hence the pink. But hey, he can wear pink.
Can rock that
on those colder days. So this is actually the pattern from, or the sweater from the original pattern. Right. But what I didn't like is I made it out of a worsted weight, and it probably should not have been.
Yeah, DK is usually thick as it goes. So what the patterns that we're talking about, in case you've not followed us, is little cotton rabbits. But obviously there's more than rabbits.
Yes, she has all kinds of little critters.
Kinds of things, yes. So, and this is the badger.
And the sweater has a little bit of color work. I'm not sure how much that shows. It's a bit of a low contrast on there. Yeah. But there's a little diamond color work on there, which actually took me way too many times to get right. I don't know why. I just wasn't reading the chart properly. So once I figured that out, I got it. Okay. So he's all done and good to go.
Yes. Yeah. And then what else were you doing?
Well, I haven't. That's right. So I didn't knit, but I kind of went back to llamas because I can do the llama pattern without having to look at the pattern at all. It's in my brain now, and even if I sort of don't follow the pattern, I just adjust as we've talked about all along. So I now have 10 sets of legs with about this far up the body sitting on a shelf that I haven't closed up. So what I need you folks to do for me in the comments below is give me some ideas of what characters you might like to see. I don't know, for example, I don't know, maybe a chef or something of the sort, or that idea.
Okay.
Kind of, yeah. So you give me your ideas, and then I will see if I can make them come to life for you.
Oh, cool. So can you take a picture of all the little bodies lined up? Because they're all different colors, I
Yes,
suppose.
they are. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll take a picture and send that so we have that.
And then I'll put that up.
Sure.
Somewhere.
Sounds good.
Maybe right now.
Right here.
Maybe later. I don't know. Anyway, we record this segment before I record the podcast. So we used to do it on the same day. But
it's a lot for you.
By the end of it, I was talking at least 8 times faster than I normally talk, and in a full-blown sweat of nervousness because I was trying to get
through it all.
It's a lot of talking.
Yeah.
So now we do this part ahead of time, and then I edited into the part that I record tomorrow.
There you go. There's a little back scene for you.
Yeah, back scene things. So you were not feeling well and went to your go-to, which was the Llama. I was feeling fine, but I was visiting. My mom was here visiting, and then I went to her place, and I spent time with her. So I had a little bit of a break from knitting. Okay. And then I had to catch up on my knitting, so I had no time to do Llamas. So I have a big confession to make. Oh. So this is where we last saw my Llama.
Oh, it does look a little like it did last time.
That's right, and exactly like it did last time. And I still have my little muzzle because I did that. Nice. Actually, I'm not even sure if that's finished.
That was completed.
Yeah,
yes.
that was.
I remember that from last time.
And the ear is in exactly the same spot. So I did nothing. Okay. I just knit.
Well, you're not too bad.
Yeah. So the viewers that are watching the rest of the podcast, I hope they're going to be impressed about the amount of knitting that
you've done. Well, hey, I watch too, so I'm looking forward to finding out what you've all knit.
But no Llama.
Okay, that's
so now I'm leaving it up to you. You said you've got my back
to carry on and see what we can do.
Look, maybe I'll just do this cover.
Bit of a beanie.
Yes, a beanie that covers it all the way right down to his neck. His neck is the same length as mine.
Oh, I don't actually. I'm pulling up the wrong things. We don't actually need a crochet hook at this point.
Oh, okay.
We need a darning.
But you went ahead with yours.
I did. I went ahead. So I think
you can just explain what you did.
What we can see that I've completed is the neck going up to the top, and then we increased for the head here, just up to a count of, I think it's either 30 or 36 stitches. So again, the pattern can tell you.
You should say here.
Yeah. Oh, that's
right.
right.
It's not a tutorial.
No.
This is just showing you the process of
just watching Kim and Betsy fumble through llamas.
Yes.
So up to increase, and then just knit straight up for a couple of rows. Crochet for a couple of rows straight up, and then bring it back in a tiny bit. Okay. So at this point, we can attach the muzzle.
Okay.
And put the eyes in if you're using safety eyes. Okay. If you're not using safety eyes, you can sew those on later. I prefer to use safety eyes.
Right.
So you have to sew the muzzle on and put that in before, obviously, you close up the head, because the safety eyes have a little back piece that go on them.
So what are you showing today? How you put the muzzle on?
So today, we're going to attach the muzzle.
Okay.
So we're gonna sew it right on. It gets sewn on with a darning needle.
I wondered how this was all going to come together. I didn't read ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, well, here we go. This will be utterly fascinating. So here again, you have some decisions to make. So you can have your llama be very attentive and staring straight on, going straight forward. Or you can put it to the side, so they're giving a little bit of a look. Okay. Or they can be looking right over their shoulder. So you see how just shifting the position of the muzzle kind of changes what your llama is doing.
Right. Okay.
Same as if you're just changing your head.
Yes.
So for this guy, we'll give him straight on. I haven't made a straight on one in quite a long time. I often give things head tilts and
okay. So can you do the same, like if you were to put it up or down a little bit?
Yeah,
not only
exactly.
That
so
the look of the head
I
tilt?
have one on my website right now that I put it up quite high.
Oh, okay.
And so she's looking up because she's a tennis player.
Oh, okay.
So she's looking way up. So again, you can see how that will change what your llama might be engaged in doing.
So it's all about where the nose is placed.
Where the nose is placed, is where the position of their head would be looking.
Right.
And if they're down a little further, then when you stuff it, you can kind of shape it to tilt your head down.
Okay.
You can
So then the stuffing helps you to
do that.
Complete the illusion
of what's going on. Yeah.
Okay.
So a head down and to the side can be a bit more bashful, and then depending on how you make the mouth, that changes all of that. So a lot of the character of a critter comes in position of head, nose, ears. If you just stick things straight on and just kind of, you just lose personality. Okay. So this is an opportunity to give it a little bit of personality. So
it's a good point, because it's the same with the rabbits or the badger or whatever. When you're doing that, just the way you position the stuffing and where you stuff it a little bit harder or softer makes a big difference.
So again, for example, he has his arms just kind of flop out a bit. Now, I was going to try to adjust that a little bit. Sometimes what I'll even do is if they're just going to be a stationary character, him I've left more as like a toy to play with. So you want them floppy and cute. But if he was going to sit on a shelf or something, then maybe I would sometimes even like put their little hands and put a little stitch in so that the hands stay together. So then he's just got this cute little look to it. Right. So that kind of stuff is what changes it up.
So you're giving us some hints for when we get to the real personality part.
Yeah, for sure. And it's starting now. This is where your personality is starting. Placement of your ears and your nose. So for the nose, I just put it where I want, one stitch right through. And then I'm going to go, so I start at the bottom and I put one stitch in the top.
Just to hold it.
Just to hold it, because I am going to add a little bit of stuffing in here.
And so that's why you asked for the long tail to be left on the muzzle that we did, because you're sewing it with that, right?
Yep, we're sewing with that.
Okay, and did I see you tuck the shorter tail into the nose?
It right inside.
Okay,
because it just can disappear in there. And if you didn't leave a long enough tail, you can always just take another piece of yarn and bring it in and attach through that. But this just leaves it there for you. So I'm going to try and take a little piece, not much at all for the muzzle.
Okay. Now I'm sorry that I didn't do my homework. But.
Oh, because that you could join me.
Yeah. It's okay. I'm going to put his neck hat back on.
Actually, we'll pause for a little bit and we'll come back. What I'm going to do in the meantime, I'm just going to sew down the one side. So half of the muzzle will be attached, but I'll still have an opening where I can stuff the rest of the stuffing in. So you just give me a moment and I'll be right back to show you that. Okay, so we've got that side attached now. So there's enough stitches in there. So I just went in and out, tacking that down. I'll let you kind of figure out how you want to do that.
You went through holes that already existed between the stitches, right?
They were already there. So because you don't want your yarn to show up as an additional piece of, pardon me, what am I saying here? So you want it to follow what's already there. You don't want to create a stitch that isn't there, that shows. Right. That keeps it invisible. So now I'm just gonna fluff that nose just a little. You don't want to overstuff it, or you're going to have a very alert, on guard kind of llama. I'm losing some of my thread here. Okay, so then again, so I've got my stuffing in. I try as best as possible to have it all in, so it's not showing. And then I just kind of find a spot to start again and tack it down. Kind of look and see how far. He could maybe use a tiny bit more.
So I see that you're kind of making it flatter on.
I'm just sort of shaping
as you're
always as I go. Yeah. So some of my stuffing is still sticking out here a bit, but I will just tuck that in as I get going.
Okay, so when you went around there, you really can't see the stitches. They kind of go right in the groove.
Yeah, they hide.
Yeah, okay.
Right in. And I have a few pieces that are maybe like sticking out still, so you might carefully pull on those. Don't pull too aggressively or quickly, or you're suddenly gonna take most of it, but just kind of pull them more. You could very carefully trim them if you wanted to. Yeah. If you have any little stray fibers sticking out.
There's just a little one.
There.
Yeah.
So there's his his nose is on.
Okay.
So then at this point with the safety eyes, again, position of your eyes are going to add to the personality. So depending on how high you put them, how wide and further apart, also determines where he's looking.
So I'm like being really picky because
yeah, that's right.
So when you squeezed his nose a little bit like this,
I did.
So you make it a little bit of oval.
You can sort of change it a bit,
okay.
and that will shift a bit. We're going to sew with black thread like a nose and a mouth on here, and that will again get shifted a little bit.
Okay.
I am constantly pinching and twisting. Even you might notice that as I'm holding the critter.
Yeah.
This guy has decided that he wants to walk.
Okay.
So he's got his legs, and I kind of just figured that out as I went. Making sure that they're going the right direction with legs. You have to think a little bit about how four-legged creatures walk, because I did it one time and I had them twisted and I was like, a critter could never walk that way. Anyway, not that big a deal, just these are the details I think about.
Right. No,
and I think all of these together are what add up.
That's why they all look
to
different.
Making it all look different and giving it just some really good character. So we're just going to pop our safety eyes in here, and this is where you would need to put the back on.
Oh, okay, that's how they work.
Yeah, they push right through, and then they have this little piece that goes on the back that clamps them in.
Right.
So again, they're okay for younger children. They are not officially child safe. I've watched toddlers get their teeth on those and just reef them out.
So his string is right in his safety.
Oh, it's right. Oh, that's true. Well, now we have to figure that out. We'll just put it back there. Okay, so.
Looked like he was crying.
They're so
big stream.
Tiny to work with. I'm trying so hard not to drop them.
Like that.
And there it goes, because I didn't put the back on.
Okay, I've got it.
It's back there. Let's just edit that out.
Maybe not. We'll see.
Okay. So I'm just saving time on not putting the backs on. So there's his there. So you can kind of pinch them close into the nose. You can try different placements with them, put them in different positions to see what you like and where you want them. And then we need to finish crocheting up his head.
Okay.
Sew on ears and a tail.
All right. So you're doing it probably exactly the same way as we did the back?
Exactly the same as there.
So as you learn the skills, you just keep using the same skills.
Exactly, over and over. Yeah, it's all just increasing and decreasing. That's all it is. And closing things up. So I'll just go stuff his head at this point, of course. We're going to close up the head. We're going to attach the ears and the tail, and we'll sew on the face next week.
Okay, so we're going to do that the next time, because then that gives me a chance to actually catch up.
I don't want to get too far ahead of her.
No.
I'm going to have the llama done.
Right, and then I'll be still doing an ear.
Yeah.
Yes. So, okay, so we're going to do that, and then we'll be back in the next time, and you'll be knitting again, I guess, by that time.
I'm planning to. So I've actually, I could talk about, I do have a plan for my next knitted project.
Okay.
But I'm waiting on some custom dyed
yarn.
Yes.
An
order I've put in.
Yes.
So once that's ready, then I'll be good to go.
Okay.
To get started on.
I don't know if it's ready or not. I'll have to check. No, I'm not in charge of that.
Nope.
So
all good.
I'll just pass the message.
Good.
I know I made the yarn.
Yes.
But I'm not sure if it's dyed yet or not.
No worries.
So.
I am not concerned at all.
Okay.
I have not been doing any knitting. But I have a sweater that I'm going to...
Yes.
I need to swatch for and start. And so if I actually get that done, I'll tell you more about it.
Okay.
At this point, it's still very much nothing. It's yarn.
Yes. Part of the yarn.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's...
Well, thanks,
the llama's
Betsy.
coming along, getting their little faces on, and they'll be...
So actually, now he looks like he's looking down just a little bit.
And again, that may change as I stuff that head and decide in the end where it's going to be.
It's really interesting, though, that just the smallest little adjustment in placement makes a big difference in the way that they look. Eh?
Yeah. Nice looking up.
Cool.
Give them a little twist, and you can look to the side. Yeah.
All right, Betsy, it was good to have you back.
Thanks.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye. So it's been a while since we've seen each other. So Betsy and I were a little bit silly I think. So anyway, it was funny. It was fun to have her back. So that's good. So she's and she really would appreciate the help with her llamas. I'll put the picture that I'll put it here actually of what she was talking about. And if you want to make suggestions for what these little llama bodies want to be, then she'll do some characters out of those llamas that she has on her shelf there. So I think now I'm going to talk again about the Mercerie project. So the Mercerie is a company or a design house, I guess, by Sue Matten. And Sue designs crochet projects, and she uses felted tweed almost exclusively. So she reached out to me to see if I would be interested in collaborating as a stockist for the new online workshops that she's doing. She's doing 2. The first one is wallflowers, and that's a little bit more advanced. There's also the second one, which is the homage to the granny square. That's a beginner one. So if people are just interested in starting out in crochet and learning how to do stitches and that kind of thing, then the homage to the granny square would be where you would start. If you already know the basics of crochet, then you can try the wallflower, which is just beautiful. And both of those projects were originally designed in felted tweed. So when you purchase the online class, then Sue will give you a discount code for felted tweed that you can use in our shop when you purchase your felted tweed from us. And that discount code starts on May 1st because that's the first day that the classes start. So the classes are doing registration right now. So you have until May 1st to register if you're interested in taking one of those classes. But the yarn discount is not available because she wants to spend time at the beginning of the course teaching you about color. So you're going to learn some color theory and how different colors can go together. And then she wants you to buy your yarn. So you'll be able to get a discount, a 10% discount on your yarn from our shop. And just to remind people that all of our Rowan yarns, that where we've completed the line, we carry all of the colors that they have available, and we carry them all in sweater quantities. So if you want to embark on Sue's projects, then you don't need to worry. If Rowan still makes it, we have it, and we have it in stock in enough quantities that you're sure to find everything you need. And you would get the discount code when you sign up for the online course, and the discount starts on May 1st so that you have time to go over the color theory and so forth that Sue is teaching. So you can check that out. And if you don't know the Mercerie or Sue's work, I would suggest that you go and take a look at her website anyway, because what she's doing with crochet and color is just fantastic. It's just beautiful, the work that she does. And she's got some other patterns there as well. And each and every one of them is just, just looking at them fills you with joy. They're just so beautiful. So we probably all need a little bit of that in our lives these days. So even if you're not interested in crocheting the blankets, then I would go check out the website because it's just beautiful. It's art, actually, art work that's just lovely. So you can check that out. The link is in the show notes down below the video. So I'll have everything there if you want to check her out. Or you can just Google the Mercerie. In the UK, it comes up. There's a couple other stores called the Mercerie as well, but you'll see her crochet one that you can check out. So again, we'll have all the felted tweed, and you'll get a 10% discount when you've signed up for the course. And the discount doesn't come through me. The code comes from the class. So I'm not giving out the discount code, she is. So that's it, but you can purchase your yarns from us. And I think that leads in pretty well to the shop update. So I have a bit of, I'm of course going to show some new things that we have in the shop, but we kind of revived a project, and I talked about it on the last newsletter when I was thinking about seasonal knitting and knitting for spring and transitional knitting, I was reminded of one of the most favorite projects that we have that has been worked on by people in our shop, or that if we're affiliated with, and it's the Rocket Tee by Tanis Fiber Arts. So last spring, Jennifer Hicks knit a Rocket Tee, and this is it. So it just has a little cap sleeve, and you're seeing a picture of Jennifer right now in this gorgeous sweater. So the Rocket Tee is knit with point prim sock yarn and Kidsilk Haze. So the Kidsilk Haze, it's alternating stripes. So it looks really, really great with a variegated yarn and then the Kidsilk Haze in between as a single color. People are asking how transparent it is because it is knit in a single strand. So I'm going to put my hand under there and I'm going to come closer to the camera so that you can probably see. So it is a bit transparent, but where the sock yarn is, it's not, it's opaque. So Jennifer wears just a black little camisole or t-shirt underneath, and it's pretty comfortable. It's not risque, but the V-neck is just gorgeous, and then these little cap sleeves. In the pattern that as it's written, you can do whatever you want as far as the I-cord edging on it. So in the pattern, the picture that's shown on Ravelry for the pattern, she's done the I-cord edging in Kidsilk Haze held double. Jennifer decided to do her I-cord edging with her sock yarn. So it's not sock yarn actually. So this was knit when we had flocked fingering, which is the same weight as the sock yarn. So the color of this tee is First Light. So that's the variegated one, and you have Purplicious Kidsilk Haze. So we don't make First Light in sock yarn, but this is just to show you how great the sweater is. This little t-shirt, the Rocket Tee. The pattern is written with 6 inches of ease, so that it would be 6 inches bigger than what your actual chest measurement would be. And but Jennifer Hicks wears hers with no ease, so you can see that. And I've seen it on people with a lot more ease, like even more ease, and it still looks great. It has almost this little flare at the bottom. So that's it has a lot of really a lot of versatility, this pattern. So there's a couple things that happened. Jennifer Hicks took the time to knit a bunch of swatches and do calculations with different needle sizes. So she did a deep dive on ease. So I'm going to talk about that in a second, but I am going to show you some of the colors that we've picked out for the Rocket Tee that we were promoting in the newsletter last week, but we'll show them for you here as well. So we launched this color a while ago. It's Mermaid's Tail, and it comes in sock yarn. So we're going to talk about the sock yarn because we're going to show you what it would look like with different colors for the Rocket Tee. So that's Mermaid's Tail. And we picked out harmonizing colors to go with it so that you can do your Rocket Tee, so for the stripes. So the colors in Kidsilk Haze that we picked are Alhambra. So that goes really great with the green and the turquoisey colors. There's Purplicious, but I have to tell you right up front that the Purplicious, I'm currently sold out, and there's a nasty rumor that it may not be available anymore. So I did keep it here in the assortment because we're still trying to get it, but it may not be available. Then you have, oh shoot, I forget the Ghost. It's Ghost. So this kind of slight mauvey gray color is called Ghost. And that just goes because it will go with everything. It's a complete neutral. Then you have Trance is the next one, which goes with the darker green. And my personal favorite is actually Dewberry, which is this softer purple here that picks up those lighter tones. And then the last one is a blue. And there's not really There's just a little tiny bit of that blue in here. It's called Heavenly, but it will just pick up those tones. So there's so many colors you could put with this to do the stripes. And I've seen some orders based on, it was probably from the newsletter, where somebody I think is doing all the stripes a different color, because I saw an assortment of one skein orders on that. So that's with Mermaid's Tail. So perfect if you like purples and blue, cool colors. For the people that like warmer colors, we did the same kind of a matchup of colors in the sock yarn with Bramble. So Bramble, you can see, is like a multi-dimensional. It's darker, but it's really, it's one of our most popular colorways that we have. So we did choose the Kidsilk Haze colors to go with this. And we tried to create more bright pops of color, because this is fairly dark. So you have Anthracite, which is the gray. So that's just a neutral that will go with anything. Then you have Golden Poppy, which will really pick up these orange tones that you can see here. The purpley one is Black Currant, which matches almost perfectly with the burgundy that's in there. We used Bluebird, and that's to pick up the blues. And Romance is a dusky pink, so that's there. And then if you like brown, so it would be really more neutral, you have Bark on the top. So that's to go with Bramble. Then some people visited the shop this weekend. So if anybody knows Simone from Sand and Sky, she's also knitting a rocket tee, and she chose to go kind of monochromatic, and she's using Autumn Birch in the sock and the new Ochre from Kidsilk Haze. So those are the colors she's using. So she decided to kind of play on light and dark, but within the same color family. So you can do that too. So if you shop for sock yarn to do a rocket tee, and you want us to help you choose a Kidsilk Haze to go with it if you want to go monochromatic, just drop us a line. We're more than happy to help you pick out something. And there's other variegateds there too that you can choose, and we can help you pick out some different colors with that. And I'm doing it's not a kit because I'm not choosing the colors for you, but if you purchase the at least one skein of Point Prim sock yarn and 2 skeins of Kidsilk Haze, then you'll get a discount of 10%. And there's I'll put a code in the show notes for the discount code. I'm going to show you a couple books, because I started telling you about Rowan Spring last time, but there's a couple more new books. So Martin Story has come up with a new book called Tea Garden, and I'll show a couple pictures from this book. So it's really like light projects, and knit in Summer Light DK or Summer Light 4-ply. And I'll just show you the gallery here. So there's a whole variety, cardigans and little capelets, and I don't know if you can see. And the yarns are Summer Light 4-ply and Summer Light DK. And I'll put some pictures up there. And there's 2 more Mode at Rowan books. The first one is Lounge, and it's 4 projects, and they're knit in I think they're all knit in cotton wool, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just going to double check. Yes, cotton wool. They're all cotton wool. So they're really cute, quite simple designs. Just show them again here. All with cotton wool. Cotton wool, if you haven't experienced that, it's quite something. It's 40% cotton, 60% wool, I believe. And it has just a really nice kind of sheen to it. It's really smooth and lovely. Then the other book that we have is the Blogger's Edit for projects in Mode from Rowan. And these are all projects that are done in Kidsilk Haze. So some of them are done with held double and some are done singly. And there's great projects there as well. So you have some really wispy colors or projects, and then something a little bit more substantial, not as airy as well. So that's I'm just loving these mode books, I have to say. I just find them all really excellent and really beautiful patterns. And the last thing I wanted to show in the shop update is that we have the worsted book back in stock. So this is the book that is curated by Ami Gilles from La Bien-Aimée. And all of the patterns inside the book are using worsted weight yarns. And I went through and looked at all of the patterns. I don't think that there were any that didn't match almost exactly our Selkirk worsted specs. So if you wanted to knit any of the projects in this worsted book, Selkirk worsted is actually a good choice for all of these patterns. And we just got them back in stock, so you can order those now. And I think that's it for the shop update. So now I'm going to talk about the Fibre Festival. So for those that, if this is the first time hearing about it, Prince Edward Island is hosting a Fibre Festival in September 2022, and the dates are the 23rd, 24th, and 25th of September. And I'm on the board of the Fibre Festival, but we have proper coordinators that are actually doing the coordination of everything. Thank goodness I don't have to look at that. They're very organized, much more organized than I am. So we're just coming to the final call for the vendors. A lot of the booths are sold out, but we did the kind of like a final round of call for vendors. So there's not final decisions there's some booths that are still being discussed, and there's a group of people that they're just reviewing the applications now. So if you've applied and you haven't heard yet, it's not all the decisions have been made yet. So they're doing it in groups, and they're just about to do the final group. So there's it's almost full. And then there's the workshops. So I've talked already about the fact that Fruity Knitting is coming. So Madeline and Andrea are coming. They're not doing a workshop, but they will be in the festival, and they are going to make two appearances in the Fan Fiber Lounge. So Fiber Fan Lounge. So we have a space where bloggers and authors and that kind of thing can interact with people, and that's where Andrea and Madeline will be making an appearance there. Then there's Patty Lyons has been booked for the event, so she's doing 3 or 4 workshops. I can't remember if it's 3 or 4, but it's all up on the website. The PEI Fibre Festival website is up and running, so you can see that. So we're really excited because Patty Lyons is just a fantastic teacher, and she's got a new book that's coming out around that time. We also have, I've alluded to it already, Kristen Drysdale coming from Scandi Work. So she's going to teach 3 classes. Shirley Payton has been confirmed as well, so she's coming, and she's teaching 2 classes. And we also have Sylvia Olsen coming. Sylvia is from the west coast of Canada, for those that don't know who she is, and she's done a lot of work with the Salish knitters, or the Indigenous people that knit the Cowichan sweaters, and they have a very particular technique about how they do their color work. So Sylvia is coming, and she's doing 2 workshops and lecture. So she will be there. And we have some other great things that are still being confirmed. Cabin Boy Knits is going to do a lecture as well. And there's just a great lineup. And we're really, really happy because we also have workshops by some local artists that do really high quality work here in Prince Edward Island. So there's a space for them as well. So they're going to do some really fun classes. and other instructors coming from the Maritimes as well. And there's a little bit of spinning. There's drop spindle classes where you even get to learn how to make your own homemade drop spindle. And there's no weaving, unfortunately, but there's crochet, because Rich Texture Crochet is coming. Sarah Thompson from Rich Texture Crochet. And we have felting. And so we're really trying to cover a lot of the fiber arts. So I think it's really kind of coming together. There are rooms that are blocked for the Fiber Festival attendees. The ones in the Delta Hotel where the festival is being held are almost sold out. So if you haven't gotten your room yet and you want to stay there, you should probably book it right away. And we'll try to get more blocked rooms, but I'm not sure if we can get more, because the quota was already kind of set and raised once, and now it's been raised again. But there are 3 other hotels on the website that you can check out for rooms. And if that doesn't work and you can't find anything specific there, the Department of Tourism of PEI is so well organized and helpful that you can also reach out to them for accommodation help. And they're just like a wealth of knowledge and super, super helpful. They have their fingers on the pulse of everything that's going on the island. So if you're having trouble finding a spot, then you can check them out. There's also entertainment on the Friday and Saturday nights. So there's actually 2 things planned. One is a ceilidh, which is a traditional ceilidh, which will have square sets, which is the type of dancing that we do in the Maritimes at ceilidhs. And there's also another event happening closer to the hotel, which is called the Harbor Hullabaloo, which is really going to be fun as well. And it's storytelling and music as well. So there's all kinds of things being planned. And of course, you're going to want to stay for 2 weeks and tour the whole island. If you're coming for the Fiber Festival. But while you're here at the Fiber Festival, we're going to make sure that you're busy and entertained. So with that, I think I will close for today. And we're going to go to the harmony part. And we just have a beautiful harmony part this week. And Ken took the recording of this video. Like he usually is doing he's usually the one doing the recording for the videos, and he really kind of hit it out of the ballpark this time. So I want you to take a look at that, enjoy the music that I've chosen to go with it, and think about hopeful thoughts, and may there be a few rainbows in your life in the next 2 weeks. So we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Bye.